an excerpt from Evil Next Door. I didn't know what to expect that night when the glass front doors of the Raleigh Police Department flung open, but the man I saw being led out by two detectives was unlike anyone I could have imagined. He was just over 6 feet tall and looked to weigh around 140 pounds, making him appear emaciated. He had long, scraggly, light brown hair that hung in his face, obscuring his eyes. His hands were cuffed behind his back. I don't know what I would have said a monster looks like, but this wasn't it. This man looked weak, frail, not physically capable of the heinous crimes he was accused of. Sergeant Clem Perry led the parade. He pushed open the doors and bore the first brunt of the blinding television camera lights and flashes from the still photographers. Perry moved directly through the crowd in the direction of the waiting patrol car without acknowledging the chaos around him. Behind Perry, Detectives Jackie Taylor and Copeland were on either side of the suspect, clasping his elbows tightly as they walked him to the police car. They too ignored the action around them and looked straight ahead. The suspect's body seemed almost spineless, as if he might just slink to the ground at any moment if the officers weren't holding him up. He hung his head and closed his eyes, maybe to keep the lights off of his face, or more likely, to keep our cameras from getting a good picture of his face. In either case, he was successful in preventing us from getting a clear shot. "Did you murder Stephanie Bennett?" a reporter yelled from somewhere behind me in the crowd. As I predicted, there was no answer. The prisoner was off the curb now, his elbows being swiftly guided by the two detectives to the car, which was just about 15 feet away. Our precious time for questions was running out. "Can you tell me how you knew Stephanie Bennett?" I yelled this time. Nothing. He was now just a few steps from the car. I had maybe 5 to 8 seconds left. My gut told me this man was not going to say anything, but I had to keep trying. "Do you have anything to say?" I said even louder this time, hoping to rattle him into saying something, anything. Detective Copeland was now easing the suspect into the back seat of the patrol car, holding the man's head down gently with his free hand so it would not hit the door frame as he entered. It was obvious, despite how he pretended not to see us, that Copeland was painfully aware he was being watched. Copeland shut the door to the police car and moved around to the other side. He slid into the back seat next to the suspect, who was leaning back onto the headrest. The prisoner's entire body had collapsed into the seat, and the gray leather seemed to envelop him as he sunk even deeper out of the view of our cameras. He looked like a balloon with a slow leak, deflating before our eyes. As the car pulled away, Detective Copeland stared directly at the man beneath the glare of our lights, as if he were still trying to figure out the same thing we all were. Why? It would be years before I would know what went through Ken Copeland's mind that night as he escorted the man he believed killed Stephanie Bennett to the Wake County Jail. This is both Detective Ken Copeland's story and the story of everyone who helped find justice for Stephanie. It's a story I believe was well worth waiting for.